drier weather is on the way by the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Need a ride? iCats has you covered. Tuesdays to the VA in Salisbury, Thursday to Winston-Salem, and Fridays to Hickory. Plus, run errands every day around Iredell County for just $1. Visit rideicats.com.
Get ready, Lake Norman. The Green Jeans Fall Sale is back. 1 week only, September 9th through the 14th. Over 50,000 brand name bargains under one roof. Clothes, shoes, accessories for every age, size, and budget. It's big. It's local. It's once a year. Don't miss it. greenjeansale.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Hello and welcome to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. 4 o'clock hour on a Thursday. If you're a 9-to-5er, you got 53 minutes, 22 seconds until we hit that 5 o'clock bell. And I appreciate so much you spending that time with us here as we're giving attention to all things economic and financial here on Dollars and Cents. Now, you know, as a previous listener to Dollars and Cents, we're talking on any number of subjects. Going to be doing it again today. Going to be looking at specific companies. Going to tell you that in advance. Some of them we're going to look at in a little more positive light, probably. And some of them, I'll tell you in advance, probably going to look at them a little more negative light in looking at. But in doing so, nothing that we're talking about here is intended as a specific recommendation for you, meaning that even though we're going to be talking about some things positively, negatively, we're going to be talking about some strategies, probably some specific investments, that in doing so, please recognize everybody's financial situation is unique. We strongly, strongly recommend that you reach out to your tax advisor, to your financial advisor, or if you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, love to hear from you, love to chat about your particular financial situation. See if there are ways in which we might be able to be helpful to you. Online, you can find us at northmainfinancial.com. That's north like the direction, Main like the street, financial.com, northmainfinancial.com. We have a contact page on there. Leave us an email address or a phone number. Let us know if you like text messages on that phone number. That's a big thing. Actually, I was just talking with some of our staff today on a new system we're considering internally that's going to allow us to, let's say with greater ease, be able to both receive and send text messages because so many folks prefer to communicate that way. And so we want to certainly keep current with that kind of stuff. But let us know on that contact page if you prefer that. Again, at northmainfinancial.com. You're also welcome to call us here in the studio. Producer CJ, he's going to pick up the phone. He's going to take down your question. Can't promise I'm going to be able to get it on the air here. I'll tell you that in advance. Got a lot of material, but leave your question with producer CJ. He will make sure to get it to me. If I can integrate it into today's show, happy to do that. If not, promise you next week I'll get it on the show because I want the show to be relevant and helpful, and certainly to the kinds of things that are dotting your radar screen and hitting your headlines. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464 here in the studio, and happy to take those questions from you. All right, let's get jumping here. Got a lot of material as we talked about here, and probably even a couple of anecdotal things as well. And we're probably going to talk some football and food. You know that. We kind of do that here. Got to keep you interested. I mean, if I was just reading you Federal Reserve meeting notes for 53 minutes every Thursday afternoon, you might fall asleep at the wheel heading home from work. I might fall asleep at the wheel if I was doing that kind of stuff. So we want to keep it relevant here, but let's go ahead and get started. I want to start out talking Federal Reserve, though, and even with my joking there, no, I'm not going to talk about them for the entire hour, but definitely do want to talk about them in terms of just the kinds of things that appear like they're going to be happening. Is that ambiguous enough? I think, because I never want to be too certain about anything, especially when it comes to anything in the markets or anything that the Federal Reserve may or may not do. But I need to put it out there that at least at this point, and this is with regards to watching the futures markets. By the way, in the futures markets, you can make a financial bet on just about anything. I mean, there's lots of stuff out there in this day and age. But in the futures markets, that the futures contracts that are priced based upon anticipation of whether the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates, increase rates, not touch rates. It is very heavily weighted right now in an anticipation that the Federal Reserve Board is going to be cutting rates by 0.25 percentage point in September. Now, as I'm saying that, that's not to say it will happen. Now, I'm not predicting it will happen. I'm telling you what the futures markets, the futures contract markets are saying right now, that the Federal Reserve looks like they're teeing themselves up to to have a quarter point reduction in rates in September. Now, just because the Federal Reserve Board just because the futures markets are indicating that, as I said, doesn't mean anything, frankly. It is, though, an indication of what the market thinks. And so I'm sharing that with you because we've talked here, I don't know, almost every week, very nearly every week here during the course of 2025, talking about the Federal Reserve as they were increasing rates and then a pause, which they have now for several meetings, an overall pause of not adjusting rates. Now the possibility of cutting rates, whether the financial data, economic data support that kind of thing. It's obviously very subjective because it really is, what is your opinion? Do you think that the data supports or don't support? That's why we have a board of governors at the Federal Reserve so that there can be a vote because it's not black and white. It's not objective. It's not just because one thing happens that rates should be increased or decreased. And so it's hard. It really is hard because you're really trying to move a steering ship with a blindfold on in a dark room. I mean, you really are because none of us can predict what's going to happen. But what we want to do is to steer to the ship and what we hope will produce some of the best results out there. So I'm giving you a little bit of a long-winded look at that. Just because, again, the market's really shifted here over the last 10 days or so in anticipation that the Federal Reserve will cut rates here in their September meeting. We're obviously going to talk about it over the course of the next couple of weeks here. As we get closer to that time, as we probably are going to hear from some of the Fed board governors, as we've heard here for the last couple of weeks, giving some of their commentary to it. And I'll tell you, though, there was one out there in Chicago at a conference yesterday, Austin Goolsbee, who's on the Fed board, brilliant economist, been around for a long time. And he has his political persuasions, as we all do, and I appreciate that. He though is one who doesn't appear to be one who's going to be in favor of a rate cut. I can't speak for him. I'm just listening to the words that he shared at a conference yesterday. I thought it was interesting that he was, I would say, relatively definitive in his position. I mean, Federal Reserve Board of Governors members tend to be ambiguous in terms of the language that they use by design. They don't want to show their hand too much or have the market shift too much based upon what their words or commentary may be in a given moment before they cast their actual vote. But it definitely did sound like from his commentary yesterday that he's not going to be one. Now, we don't need a unanimous vote. It's sometimes we feel a little bit healthier when it is that way, but we don't need a unanimous vote in order for there to be a rate adjustment. So we're going to be watching that very closely. And again, appear to be some disagreement even at this point among the members of the Board of Governors about whether this is a good time. And I'd be in there with them. You've heard me say this, and so I'll give you, this is my commentary point now with regards to it. I don't believe that the Federal Reserve should be reducing rates at this point. I really don't. And I'll use a couple of big macro factors as two of my primary reasons for that, although there are a number of reasons. But for brevity, I just want to talk on the big two. And the first one is inflation relatively under control. I mean, we're running right now at an inflationary rate, depending upon how you look at it. Let's call it 3.2, 3.4. It's probably, again, a couple of different measures on how you look at it. So 3.2, 3.4 on year-over-year inflation. And then I'm looking at, again, an unemployment rate that is, by historical standards, still very, very low. I mean, we're looking at just barely over 4% in terms of unemployment. Again, a couple different ways you can look at that. Some will argue that indeed it's actually a higher number than that. Again, argumentative, but I'm saying that neither of those numbers are into a range where I feel personally that the Federal Reserve Board should be cutting rates. Would I like it? Sure. Would the market love it? Absolutely. On the equity side of things, I think it's going to be a bonanza. But we'll have to see what's going to happen there in September. But before then, we're going to be talking about it, bringing you some additional details. And before that, we're going to take a moment to hear from our sponsors. Hang with us as we come back here on Dollars and Cents.
Make no mistake.
Did you say steak?
We'll be back to talk more finances and food on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Looking for an upscale night out? Welcome to Ben 110 in Cornelius, Lake Norman's destination for great drinks, great bags, and live music. With over 500 whiskeys, 100 wines, a full craft cocktail list, and small plates kitchen, we built something special. Enjoy live music every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, monthly comedy nights, and curated wine and whiskey tastings. Ben 110, where your night becomes the main event. Find us at 19712 One Norman Boulevard, Suite 110 in Cornelius.
How's your AC holding up? When it's this hot, it can tax your system. Don't wait for a breakdown on the hottest days of the year. Call Horn Heating and Air Conditioning for a seasonal tune-up today. Welcome home to the feeling of visit hornhvac.com.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Friday night is the rescheduled Piedmont Healthcare Friday After 5 Outdoor Concert Series. Petty Rewind will be performing, a tribute band dedicated to reviving the music of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Friday After 5 will be held in downtown Statesville on West Broad Street in front of Mitchell Community College. Beverages and food will be available for purchase beginning at 5 p.m. with Petty Rewind performing at 6. Bring your chairs and enjoy Friday After 5 in downtown Statesville. The 500 Club in Statesville presents live music on Saturday night with a concert by Holt Up. This is a local three-piece band performing a variety of music from rock to folk to funk. Call 704-872-9990 for more information on the Victory Lane Sports Bar and Grill, Tea Times, and the Holt Up Show on Saturday night at the 500 Club. See the riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship on Saturday, September 6th, as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement from the moment the gates drop. Click on charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, a track map, and information on other 2025 events. Score designer deals September 9th through 14th at the Green Jeans Consignment Sale, now at 601 Milestone Venue in Concord, formerly the Buy Low Center. It's fashion, fun, and major savings. Visit greenjeansale.com. Stay up to date and find out about local events, job opportunities, real estate information, and more. Visit liveworkplaylkn.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
From market trends to retirement plans, Joshua Dobi has you covered. We're back with more Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Second quarter of today's show. That's a football reference. And Don, I don't want to hear from anybody now about the fact that I talk about football because now we're in football season. I mean, it's here. I mean, the college football season, I think we're probably like a week or two out. I mean, producer CJ, I think
it's a week or two out. Yeah.
I think literally where we're going to have the real games. They start even before the NFL,
right?
Coming up here in a couple of weeks. But I mean, pretty much every news broadcast now you see very large men in very heavy gear, sweating and sprinting through this blazing heat. I mean, I was just complaining about the fact that you guys said you had the AC out here for a couple of hours. I can't even imagine doing that in this place.
Yeah, the Panthers had I think it was Nick Scorton today left practice because he almost passed out.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, any mortal who would have to be out in that kind of stuff. I don't know how you keep hydrated enough.
Right.
But we certainly are thankful for those gentlemen who do, because we will be enjoying them on the television screen. And what am I saying? Not just on television screen, all kinds of screens, iPad screens, phone screens. That's how we take in our entertainment in this day and age. And which kind of interesting, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. ESPN and NFL getting into a deal where it's going to be very interesting to see future television contracts from the NFL. I mean, they got a stake in ESPN. Aren't they going to be a little bit, I don't know, biased?
Yeah, I feel like they'll go with ESPN and they'll go with they're probably going to go for Netflix next.
I think so, because we see it already, right? I mean, we've got Thursday Night NFL on Amazon, right? I mean, and you got Netflix, just in terms of distribution firepower there,
right?
And it's very, very interesting to me, very interesting how this is going to keep shape. So we're going to bring it to you. We like talking football on here as well. And by the way, I'd like to also raise producer CJ. You may not be aware, but I every single week that I remember, I like to remind folks during the offseason that our Carolina Panthers continue, as of this moment, to be in exactly the same probability space as every other team in the NFL
Exactly.
to win the Super Bowl.
There you go.
I mean that's where we are. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, the field's leveled. Nobody gets a bonus from last year.
Right.
You get a couple of wins in the win column, or no.
Everybody's even.
0-0.
There you go.
I love it. Let's lace them up and let's go. All right. So we're homers here. We don't care. That's that. You just have to deal with that. If you're listening to us here on WSIC, and I appreciate that you do. Just before we went to break there, we were talking Federal Reserve. We were talking about how the futures markets are indicating that the Federal Reserve looks like they're going to cut a quarter point here in the September meeting. Nothing's real until it's real. 100 things can happen between here and there. We'll continue to watch it and certainly bring you our thoughts to it. Do want to mention, though, that the central bank in England, and so this is over in the UK, the English Central Bank, did cut rates again. Now, and I got some notes on this from folks who watch that kind of thing and say, "Oh my gosh, the Bank of England cut for the fifth meeting in a row. Why haven't we cut rates here?" Yeah, I got to give you a little apples to apples comparison here. Yes, this is the fifth meeting in the last year where they have cut rates. Take a look at where England's rates were, or the Bank of England's rates were, though, when they started cutting, and where they are right now. You're going to find them now pretty almost exact to where we are here in the U.S. with the Federal Reserve Board. I'm not defending anybody, not defending the Bank of England, not defending the Federal Reserve Board, but what I am saying is we started out in different places a year ago, and now we're pretty much in that 4.25 overnight lending rate now with the Bank of England and here in the U.S. Not saying England and the U.S. are the same. They're not. Not saying the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve are the same. They certainly are not. Very different organizations there. But if we're talking about, let's call it the markers, the main markers from a currency standpoint, certainly with regards to the cost of capital, we got to put the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve Board here in the U.S. at least in a similar boat. Doesn't have to be the same boat. We got to put them in a similar boat. It's worth mentioning. Yes, they did have the fifth rate cut here in the last year, but now they basically got to where we are right now. And so I don't see that as being an anomaly or as much of a motivator as perhaps some folks are saying, that the Federal Reserve should follow suit and start cutting rates multiple times as well. Just not in the same place. We didn't start out in the same place. So I think that's important for us to keep in mind there. So keep that on your radar screen. Again, we're going to be talking about that, certainly with regards to interest rates, because those interest rates, folks, I know might be a little dry in terms of the subject matter. They affect everything. Kids going back to school right now, student loans, absolutely affected by the overnight lending rate. Not directly, it's not one-to-one kind of comparison, but absolutely is a function of what the Federal Reserve Board does with interest rates, especially if you got variable rate loans. Very, very much impacted by that kind of thing. All right, let's going to give you a little bit of a on this date. I don't usually do this kind of stuff, mostly because the stuff that comes across my timeline isn't always the kind of stuff that I think is worthy of noting from an historical standpoint. Today, though, yeah, this is a big one. 1935, Congress passed the Social Security Act. And that was the first time, 1935, when there was a tax imposed on wages for the means of funding the Social Security Trust, which would be used then to a little bit called Widows and Orphans Fund, certainly on the disability side of things, but it really was intended to provide some means of income for retirees. And so for the first time, it was 1% on your first $3,000 of income, which of course encompassed well over 95% of the folks earning income at that time in 1935. But again, the idea coming out of the Great Depression was to provide a trust fund or a means by which there could be some level of income coming from the federal government through the Social Security Administration when you're in retirement. So that's how it started out there, 1935, and this is when it was passed here on August 14th of that year, and we still have it today. Now, a lot of discussion, a lot of, I would say, let's call it conflicting discussion at this point about the viability of the Social Security Trust Fund. Fair points all. Actually, mathematically, let's talk about it. On our current trajectory, with no adjustments right now, the Social Security Fund will start to go insolvent inside of a decade, meaning inside of the next 10 years. Now, that doesn't mean that checks are going to stop printing. That's not what that means. What it does mean is that we're going to start going in the wrong direction with an accelerated kind of movement. Now, if you're asking me, so here comes opinion, complete sidebar in what I'm going to say next. I believe one of two things, actually, I believe both of these things, some combination of both of these things is going to happen over the course of the next several years. I believe there is going to be an increase in the Social Security tax, so the amount of tax which is charged against wage earners to be able to fund the trust fund. And then I believe there's also going to be a reduction in future promised income to folks who are under the age of 50. Now, let's clarify that a little bit. Because you say, what do you make up this idea? Yeah, I mostly made it up. Meaning that I think this is how mathematically they're going to put this together. Meaning Congress, in order to address this. One, you increase the tax on more income. Right now, it's about the first $125,000 of income that you earn that is charged the Social Security tax. After that time, no, meaning if you earn more than $125,000 in a given year, you don't have to pay any additional Social Security tax. I believe they're going to raise that limit. I also believe they're going to raise the amount that they charge or the percentage that they charge of Social Security tax as well. I think they're going to do that especially on high wage earners, a little bit like what we have with the Medicare surtax as well, if you are in retirement and earn a certain income. So I think those kinds of things are out there, and that's how they're going to balance it on the revenue side. And then on the benefit side of things, when I say revenue, that means tax in this particular instance, the amount of tax they're bringing into the system. And then on the benefit side, I believe that for folks under the age of 50, the future promised benefits are going to be reduced. And I say it with actually almost completely from a political standpoint. Not too many folks under the age of 50 are looking at what their future Social Security benefits are going to be. They're not. And maybe you are. Maybe you're one of them, and you're looking at that projection and anticipating what that's going to be in your early to mid 60s or late 60s whenever you decide that you're going to take your Social Security benefit under normalized circumstances. But I have not met anybody yet in my 30 years in this business under the age of 50 who knows what their future projected Social Security benefit is. So, and I know this sounds a little bit sneaky slimy, and I think that's how this is going to work politically, that those future benefits are going to be reduced some amount. So you increase the income, meaning you increase the tax that you're collecting, and you reduce the future benefits for folks who are not yet receiving benefits. That's really what I want to say, because there are a lot of folks who are getting ready to receive their benefits, who are receiving their benefits, saying, oh my gosh, what's going to happen over these years? Am I going to stop receiving my benefits? Folks, there are a few things that I think are relative guarantees in this life. I think there is a relative guarantee that is never going to happen. I can't say guarantee or never when it comes to financial things with any kind of frequency. I don't think any politician on the planet is going to allow that to happen. So I really don't have any concern there. For future benefits, or the calculation that is made for future benefits, I do think it's going to be adjusted. I think that's how they're mathematically going to put it together. I think that's how the algorithm is going to be able to be balanced, and for the Social Security Trust Fund to continue to be funded to provide future benefits, albeit perhaps at let's call it a less friendly rate than perhaps current benefits are being paid out. So that's my completely subjective, completely sidebar look at it in terms of how mathematically it's going to go together. I don't believe Social Security is going away altogether. I don't believe that's going to happen either. I believe it's just going to be an adjustment both on the taxation side on the front end and then on the future benefit side on the other end of things. So again, Social Security Act passed on this date, 1935, and we're still enjoying it today. So you may be one, and we have this question a lot at North Main Financial Group, doing a lot of planning when it comes to Social Security benefits. When should we take them? How should we take them? Are there ways in which, if I'm a widow, if I'm divorced, what should I do? A lot of different ways to come at that. I'm not going to get into that on today's discussion. The big thing that I would say is make sure you consult with somebody who knows what they're talking about there, because for most folks, not everybody, for most folks, once you make that Social Security decision, you cannot adjust it. You can't go back and change your mind. Sometimes you can pause benefits and restart them for a number of different reasons, but you can't just arbitrarily change it just because you want to do that. So you want to make sure as much as you can that you're making the right decision up front in order to benefit you most for the long term. Well, friends, I appreciate so much you hanging with us here. We're getting ready to have the halftime part of our show here. Going to hear from our sponsors here for a few seconds. Coming back on Dollars and Cents here on WSIC.
Make no mistake.
Did you say steak?
We'll be back to talk more finances and food on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, still keep the rain gear close by, although you won't need it likely as much today for our Thursday. We're warming up. Temperatures in the mid and upper 80s, partly cloudy. We'll still have the chance of a couple of passing showers, downpours, or even a thunderstorm for our Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Overnight will drop into the low 70s, warming up to around 90 for Friday with a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but drier weather is on the way by the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Left turns, not today. NASCAR heads to the twists and turns at Watkins Glen this Sunday, August 10th. Coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series begins at 1 p.m. Catch every hairpin and high-speed straightaway right here on Blake Norman's home for NASCAR. WSIC. Local starts here. Racing lives here.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
My name is Ashley. I just redid the lighting in my home, and the customer experience at Desco was second to none.
See for yourself at DescoInc.com.
Yeehaw for rodeo season at Harrison's, the home of work, western, and wow. Whether you compete or cheer from the stands, Harrison has the looks to help you wow the crowd. Get western classics and the latest styles from Harriet, Cinch, Rock and Roll Denim, and Wrangler. Find us in Mooresville.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion is the king of price when it comes to buying a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle, but how about king of price when it comes to the service department? Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville has you covered on tires, brakes, batteries, wipers, you name it. Any service you need on your vehicle, regardless of the make or model, come see Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville Service Department or Randy Marion Ford Lincoln Service Department today.
How can we make your day spotless? Yes, I'm Andrea, owner of Spotless Cleaning. Of course, our technicians do the extras. It surprises people. Yes, baseboards, window frames, and of course, toilets. Not maids, trained technicians. Exactly. In Brazil, my grandparents taught me to live my life without guilt. Yes, more time means better, bigger life. Yes, with Spotless Cleaning, you live it. Plus, have a clean house. SpotlessCleaningNC.com.
This is Sheriff Darren Campbell with the Iredell County Sheriff's Office. Every day, scammers are targeting people right here in our community through phone calls, emails, and text messages, trying to steal your money, your personal information, and even your identity. If someone calls claiming to be from a government, a bank, or even law enforcement demanding money or personal details, stop and think. Legitimate organizations will never ask for gift cards, wire transfers, or your passwords over the phone or email. If something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Hang up, don't click that link, and never share personal information with someone you don't trust. At the Iredell County Sheriff's Office, we're working to protect our community, and we're proud to partner with WSIC because local starts here, and keeping you informed keeps you safe. Stay alert, stay smart, and don't fall for a scam.
Start your day at 228 West Broad Street in downtown Statesville by visiting The Local Collective, and they're home to 40-plus local makers under one roof for all your gift-giving needs. Mention this ad during the month of July and enjoy a free gift. Visit thelocalcollectivenc.com.
24/7 worldwide, non-stop.
WSIC.
Local starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. A record-breaking run in stocks is taking a breather after the latest data shows a rise in inflation, and that has traders paring bets that the Fed will cut interest rates next month. U.S. wholesale inflation accelerated in July, suggesting companies are passing along higher import costs related to tariffs, with the producer price index increasing 0.9% from a month earlier and 3.3% from a year ago. Rents are going up. The median asking rents in the U.S. rose 1.7% in July from a year ago, the largest increase in 2.5 years, according to Redfin, and it comes after 2 years of flat or even declining rents nationwide. And Peloton is rolling out its biggest product upgrades in years, including an updated bike, treadmill, and an integrated AI platform as early as October. There's also word that Peloton will be tweaking how it sells its products, including offering more refurbished equipment and expanding the use of self-assembly options. Erica Herskowitz, Bloomberg Radio.
The #1 station for people who say we're their favorite station.
WSIC.
From market trends to retirement plans, Joshua Dobi has you covered. We're back with more Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Second half of today's show, Football Reference. Appreciate you hanging around as we were talking about, well, we're talking about any number of things, but we were talking about certainly the Social Security aspect of things. And that actually, just before we went to break there, that actually is a huge planning point. And I wanted to spend just a couple more seconds, even though I said I wouldn't get into too much more detail, because it's really a very comprehensive discussion. It's unique to everybody, lots of different factors involved. When do you take it? What happens if you're a widow, if you're divorced and you remarry, and all those kinds of things about it? What if you are disabled, and what are the impacts there when you're able to take it? What if you have minor children and you're a widow? It just there are a lot of different things that come into play there when we're talking about Social Security benefits, and that's why I'm saying this is not a comprehensive discussion at all. It really was just a word of caution, just as you're thinking about it and making those kinds of decisions, and also in terms of if you are receiving benefits or are getting ready to receive benefits in the relative near term. I personally, this is just my thought to it, even though our current trajectory is non-sustainable, that the future of Social Security is going to be here in some fashion. It just may not look the same for folks who are of younger ages. I said younger than age 50 at this point, by the time that they're ready to receive benefits, as the folks who are today receiving benefits, meaning it's just going to be a little bit different. Probably it's going to mean higher taxes and lower benefits, unfortunately. And that's how the math can go together based upon what is currently being paid out and what needs to be paid out in the future from the trust fund. So we'll watch that very closely. And obviously it's a big deal with regards to our clients at North Main Financial Group, and we'll certainly keep you updated as those kinds of things address. By the way, sidebar, just because there's a constant look at what the cost of living adjustment projection is going to be for the following year. So this would be for 2026, would not be effective until January of next year. We get the official word from Social Security late September, early October, and it's based upon a portion of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, roughly an inflationary or cost of living adjustment factor there. Right now it's projected to be about 2.7%, which that fits. That fits relative to what it tracks within the CPI. It's not the full CPI; it's a portion of the CPI that Social Security uses in order to give a cost of living adjustment. Right now, it's tracking for about 2.7. So, what I would say is probably 2.5 to 3% at this point is going to be the cost of living adjustment for January of next year, but certainly we'll bring that to you as Social Security gives the official announcement, which should be in about a month or so, 6 weeks from where we are right now. Gosh, we're in the middle of August. I mean, a month, we're in the middle of September. 6 weeks, we're in October. Golly. Hold on. We're going to be singing Christmas carols here before too long. Before we do that, we're going to talk some food. You hear Mamie say that every time during the break, that we like to talk food here. And yes, I bring it into things that have to do with the financial impact as well, but also because we just like food and like to talk about food. Go look at one we talk about often here. It's because they're always doing something, and it's so well known. So I like bringing them out to talk about what they're doing next, because they are just brand wise, just dominant, ubiquitous, universal, however you want to take a look at them. And I'm looking at you, McDonald's. Mary Charlie Daniel, MCD, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the stock or the debt. They're coming out. I think they talked about this on Good Morning LKN as well, which, by the way, if you're not listening to them, Monday to Friday, 7 to 9, Justin, Bill, and Mamie, get on there, listen to them. Don't tell me that you're not within the signal range. You can always go to that app store, pick up that WSIC app, download that. You know what I love about it? Once you have that app and you open it up, seriously, you click on the app, the first thing that's staring at you is a button. And you just press the button and boom, you go right to the live broadcast. It's so nice and easy. Even somebody like me can do it. So make sure you do that. If you're outside of signal range, take it, listen to them Monday to Friday, 7 to 9 here on WSIC. Good morning, LKN. I think they were talking about this as well. So I'm bringing it up just to reemphasize the point, because especially for, let's say, more seasoned individuals like I may be, certainly with regards to, I'm comparing myself to you, producer CJ, that I'm definitely more seasoned. Let me say this. I have less hair, and what I have that remains is definitely grayer than yours. Let's say it that way, all right? And no, I'm not telling you my age. But McDonald's is coming out with a nostalgic Happy Meal. And what they're doing, they're using some of the art and some of the graphics from the 1970s and 1980s. A nostalgic Happy Meal. It's focused on adults. I think this is very interesting, by the way, because the Happy Meal is really out there intended for kids. It's out there so that, you know, they get their burger or their mini cheeseburger or mini hamburger or the chicken nuggets. And of course, they get the toy inside as well on that. McDonald's, this is adult focused. So the choices are between a quarter pounder and a 10-piece chicken nugget. So definitely intended for an adult audience. But of course, they're going to have prizes inside of it as well because, you know, we want to have that in addition to our quarter pounder. But they're coming out with it. And they're also having a nostalgic shake option for the drink that you can have instead of just the apple juice or a soda as well. Very interesting. I'm going to be very interested to see just how many of these they sell. I mean, it's a little gimmicky. I get it. I wonder how many of these they're going to sell. Very interesting look when they're coming out. I will not be against trying it out. I mean, I'm not that I need a reason to have a quarter pounder, but
Right, I was gonna say it's a good idea to try to get more people going back.
why wouldn't you? I mean, if you got somebody like me who maybe doesn't go to McDonald's with the same kind of frequency anymore, why? Now I'm intrigued,
Right.
right? So at least a one timer, I'm going to be in there. All right, let's keep going here. I got one for you here. Now this collaboration, producer CJ, I'm going to talk about it. I'm probably going to talk about it because it struck me as something that this particular collaboration I'm going to avoid. And
Okay.
I think you understand where I'm going. Producer CJ he's not been teed up on this, so he has no idea what I'm going to say next. But Kraft Heinz, so Heinz, which is owned by Kraft Heinz Corporation, ticker symbol Kelly Henry Charlie KHC, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the debt or the equity. They are in collaboration with Smoothie King, so Heinz ketchup.
I saw
Did
that.
you see this? I mean,
That is the most disgusting
I-
thing I've ever seen.
I'm having a hard time with it, producer
Yeah.
CJ. I mean, I really am. They're teaming up with Smoothie King.
Yeah.
So now you know where I'm going. I got to tell the listening audience now. I mean, ketchup in a smoothie, and you know what? And it's also when I looked at the other ingredients on it, though, I thought, depending on how much ketchup they're using,
Right.
you probably can't taste the ketchup at all.
Right.
Because I looked at it: acai, sorbet, strawberries, raspberries, apple juice, and then ketchup. I mean, I think this is more marketing than taste. I mean, I don't think you're leaning into that smoothie and going, ooh, ketchup.
Right.
I don't. Now, that's my personal opinion. I will be open if Smoothie King would like to reach out and maybe
Right.
send us a half dozen of these. I will be open to trying them, but that's my guess. Because when I saw that, I thought, who at Heinz was sitting there looking at the ketchup bottle and thinking this is going to work well?
Frozen form.
I don't know. I mean, I get it. I mean, you got a product, especially been around as long as Heinz ketchup. You're always looking for other avenues, other markets. I
Right.
get it. You got to look to expand. You got to look to grow. And I mean, Heinz ketchup, I mean, again, talk about worldwide, universal, I mean, just dominant in terms of brand recognition. This, I think they're stepping a little bit outside of the zone, though.
Oh, for sure.
I can't imagine that Smoothie King's going to be coming back at some point, let's say 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road saying, wow, that we never anticipated we would sell fill in the blank number of Heinz smoothies.
Well, they also made I think it was Heinz. It might have been another brand that made pickle ketchup.
I saw it. Yes.
And I was like,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
It is. Now my first thought on that, and this is just me thinking about a cheeseburger because I think about cheeseburgers a lot. I do have cheeseburgers with pickles and ketchup on them.
Right.
Right. So I mean those kinds of things I put together. I like that combination. But then when I saw that though, I immediately wrinkled my nose.
Right.
I was like, I'm not sure that that's what I would want.
Right, like you'd either have to put pickles or replace the pickles with the pickle ketchup.
That you couldn't do both.
Yeah, you couldn't do
That'd be a little overpowering. I would agree with that. And by the way, on the pickle line of things, we've talked about this on other dollars and cents shows as well. I mean, you got pickle ice cream sitting out there. You got pickle pancakes sitting out there. I mean, pickles apparently are so incredibly popular. I just don't keep up with them enough. But anyhow, we'll talk more food. We're going to talk more finance as we come back here on Dollars and Cents. Going to hear from our sponsors first here on WSIC.
Make no mistake,
Did you say steak?
we'll be back to talk more finances and food on Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, still keep the rain gear close by, although you won't need it likely as much today for our Thursday. We're warming up. Temperatures in the mid and upper 80s, partly cloudy. We'll still have the chance of a couple of passing showers, downpours, or even a thunderstorm for our Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Overnight, we'll drop into the low 70s, warming up to around 90 for Friday with a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, but drier weather is on the way by the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Friday night is the rescheduled Piedmont Healthcare Friday After 5 Outdoor Concert Series. Petty Rewind will be performing, a tribute band dedicated to reviving the music of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Friday After 5 will be held in downtown Statesville on West Broad Street in front of Mitchell Community College. Beverages and food will be available for purchase beginning at 5 p.m. with Petty Rewind performing at 6. Bring your chairs and enjoy Friday After 5 in downtown Statesville. The 500 Club in Statesville presents live music on Saturday night with a concert by Holt Up. This is a local three-piece band performing a variety of music from rock to folk to funk. Call 704-872-9990 for more information on the Victory Lane Sports Bar and Grill, Tea Times, and the Holt Up Show on Saturday night at the 500 Club. See the riders from the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship on Saturday, September 6th, as they compete on a custom-built course at ZMAX Dragway. The playoff opener features a two-moto format for the 450cc class and 250cc class, promising plenty of drama and excitement from the moment the gates drop. Click on charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, a track map, and information on other 2025 events. Score designer deals September 9th through 14th at the Green Jeans Consignment Sale, now at 601 Milestone Venue in Concord, formerly the Buy Low Center. It's fashion, fun, and major savings. Visit greenjeansale.com. Stay up to date and find out about local events, job opportunities, real estate information, and more. Visit liveworkplaylkn.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
From market trends to retirement plans, Joshua Dobi has you covered. We're back with more Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial on WSIC. Local starts here.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much. Hang with us here. Fourth quarter football reference of today's show. 11 minutes, 53 seconds until you hit that 5 o'clock bell if you're a 9 to 5er. And I appreciate so much you spending that time with us here as we're giving attention all things economic, financial. We get a little bit anecdotal as well. I mean, we were talking about ketchup-flavored smoothies back there and quarter pounder Happy Meals, nostalgic Happy Meals from McDonald's. I'm going to give you one more as well. I mean, got to kind of give three. Any good sermon has good 3 points associated with it. This one, producer CJ, I didn't tee you up on this one. This one though, I read it and I got excited about it. I want to tell you that this collaboration, this food collaboration, two publicly traded companies. Going to talk about them here in just a second. When I saw it, I'm teeing you up a little bit.
Right.
I got excited about this, and I think you'll understand why with where I'm going. So collaboration is upcoming between Oreo and Reese's.
That I can get behind.
See,
that.
now I see you nod. I can see it in your eyes too.
Yeah.
I mean,
that got me excited.
I'm completely excited. I'm completely excited just saying those two names out loud individually, let alone with what I'm going to say next. So Oreo, owned by massive food conglomerate Mondelez, ticker symbol Mary David, Larry Zulu, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the debt or the equity of Mondelez. Reese's, owned by Hershey, Henry Sam Yellow, again, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the debt or equity on the Hershey's end of things. Two collaborations here, producer CJ. This is how I came across. First one, a Reese's Oreo cup. So it's the milk chocolate on the outside, and then like the Oreo. It looks like Oreo ice cream. Obviously not ice cream.
Yeah.
But it was that white with cookie pieces as the filling instead of the peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw that. I was exceptionally enthusiastic.
Oh yeah, I'd
about
definitely
that.
try that.
And then on the other side of things, so the Oreo peanut butter filled cookie. Now, I think I've had, if it wasn't specifically with Reese's peanut butter, and I don't think it was, but I think they've had a peanut butter filled version before, because I want to say I maybe have had, well, I don't know, 50, 60, or 100 of those
Yeah.
at some point along the way, because you can't eat just one. I mean, that.
Right.
Oof. So a peanut butter filled, so Reese's peanut butter filled Oreo cookie, and then the Reese's Oreo cup with the Oreo and Oreo cookie and Oreo filling on the inside of the Reese's cup. I'm excited.
I'm excited for that.
Now, we were talking about some salty things a little bit earlier, so this is how I think about things because I have two arms. So on the one arm over here, I got something salty. I
Yep.
mean, fill in what you want. You want to put in Doritos or pretzels
There you
or peanuts, and then on the other side, I got some of these Reese's Oreo cups and the peanut butter filled Oreo cookie. I mean, that's how I'm topping it off.
There you go.
I mean, that's a closer for me. I mean, we should just stop the show right now. Just stop it
There-
early.
there you
That's
go.
that. I mean, that's the high point. Anyhow, all right, let's get going here through the fourth quarter. Talking markets a little bit more. Want to bring up a couple of them, a couple of big items that have been sitting out there market wise, and I got to talk the IPO market. I talked about this last week. I got to bring it up again. It continues to be incredibly bullish. And in case you think I just made up that word, which I haven't, it's been around for a long time, has to do with the characterization of a hot market or a growing market in the form of a bull, as when a negative market sometimes has the characterization of a bear. I mean, there was even a company that came out, its name is bullish. Now, I was just talking with the Chief Justin here a few minutes ago, and that might mean the peak of the market. I mean, if there's a company that comes out in a hot market and literally the name of it is bullish, that might be the peak. Well, I'm bringing them up because we talked here a couple of weeks ago about another fintech company called Figma that was out there, also a very hot one. I mean, both of these companies and a number of others, especially those that are connected in any way to the artificial intelligence, AI space, have just been on fire. Now, there are those who look at the IPO market and use it as a marker of consumer sentiment, market intensity, market desire. Fair. I think that's fair as one variable in the market algorithm. Definitely don't think it's the only variable. Definitely don't think it's the most important variable. But it is an indication, one indication among many, of generally speaking where investor sentiment is right now. And certainly it has been true that the market has been enthusiastic about all things connected to AI. Now, when I say that, I'm going to give you the counterbalance to that as I'm saying that. And this is the word of caution with regards to the markets. This is true for any market, but it's talking markets right here. I'm going to point to one specific company. I don't want to be getting calls, notes, and emails from you saying that I'm going to be negative because I'm going to talk a little negative on this company here. It's not talking negative about this next company. This is a word of caution about how markets work. I'm looking at you, CoreWeave. CoreWeave, ticker symbol Charlie Roger William Victor, came public here in March of this year. So we're not even into 6 months that this company's been public. Came out hot. I mean, came out really hot. $40 on the first day, got up over, I would say, $150 a share very, very quickly. It has, though, over the last just 2 days, decreased in value by about 25%. Now, that being said, it's still 150% over where its first day trade was. So if you owned it on day one, bought it on day one, at or near that level, you've had a great run, even with the pullback here over the last couple of days. I'll tell you, though, in my experience, the majority of the folks who bought and sold and traded that end of things have done so in the last several weeks. Let's say a couple, 3, 4 weeks in doing that. If you're on the buy side of things, chances are, just relative to how it's moved here, if you continue to hold on to it, that you have not had a pleasant experience with it. And I say that not to point out CoreWeave and say they're a bad company. I'm not saying that at all. Actually, their quarterly earnings report, I would say, relative to a newly public company, pretty impressive. I mean, because for a lot of these companies, they're losing money right now, trying to generate revenue. They're trying to, get to a space of positive earnings. That's very hard to do, especially with the new bright light of the public markets on you when you go public. It's brutal. I mean, it really is. Yes, it's an opportunity to do very, very well, but it's also pretty brutal. I thought their quarterly report, relative to being public less than 6 months or fewer than 6 months, I thought was not bad at all. But the market punished them for it. And they really hammered. Now, you can make a couple of different arguments. Was it because of the quarterly earnings report? Maybe. Is it because of their forward projections? Maybe. Is it because they were up almost 200% in less than 6 months? Probably some level that was in the mix of things. I say that, though, again, not looking at CoreWeave as a bad company, but I say that as a word of caution. because I've had conversations with many of you, a lot of folks, talking about AI, talking about the impact, not only in terms of our day-to-day lives, but on the markets, what companies to own, which ones are going to be the ones who are going to, quote, make it, and, and be the ones that, quote, everybody owns. Folks, nobody knows. There's no way to know. You don't have to believe me. I mean, folks that got not as much hair, and what we have is quite a bit grayer. Remember the internet boom in the late 1990s into the early 2000s. I sat on countless conversations, presentations, I'm putting experts in air quotes, I am, of folks who said how the internet was going to revolutionize everything. I sat with relatively intelligent folks who said that because of the internet, we would no longer have any retail spaces in this country inside of a decade. Folks, we have more square footage in retail spaces now than at any time in our history. And I say that not to point out or to unnaturally just select data points that support my argument. I say it because enthusiasm is not a bad thing in and of itself. Enthusiasm is not particularly helpful when it clouds judgment relative to what's a good investment decision. And that's just the plain truth. And the market has proven that time and time and time again throughout its extended history. So when I'm looking at what's happening with AI stocks right now, and yes, I did bring out CoreWeave, even though it's been a darling of the market, but I really brought it out because of its performance here in the last couple of days, and how careful you need to be, because folks can get overly enthusiastic. Now, I'm going to bring another one into the mix here, and I know it's a darling with a lot of you, so I'm probably going to get the notes and the calls again. That's okay. Part of my job here is not only to talk about what's going well, but also to bring words of caution just based upon about 30 years in this business. Golly, 30 years. So I still think of myself as 25 years old. It's kind of tough to be 25 and 30 years in this business. Anyhow, I'm looking at Bitcoin. Yeah, I am looking at Bitcoin, and I know that Bitcoin is not a securitized asset, all ye in the compliance land of things, because talking about Bitcoin insofar as it's included in exchange-traded funds, which are securitized assets, through FINRA and the SEC. All right, so there's the disclosure there. So Bitcoin in and of itself, not a securitized asset, but looking at them because they are included in these exchange-traded funds. I'm looking at them because the price of Bitcoin itself, as marked through these assets, is up over $120,000 a coin right now. And it is absolutely at an all-time high. And I say that, first of all, to say if you are an early adopter of Bitcoin and you've been able to ride this train and been able to enjoy the appreciation through the last number of months and years, congratulations. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you that's the kind of thing. But you know me, I'm not the fun guy at the party. This is where the word of caution comes in. Be careful, because I heard it this week. Be careful about folks who just do straight line extrapolation. Now, I'll say it a little bit differently. Be careful about folks who say because it's at 120,000 that it's going to a million. It may. It absolutely may. But very rarely, including the Bitcoin experience, very rarely do those things move in direct lines with that much distance. So you want to be very cautious, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's AI-related stocks, whether it's any investment. You want to be very cautious, one, about the enthusiasm that you bring to it. Not that enthusiasm is bad, but enthusiasm is not particularly helpful when you're trying to make cogent investment decisions. And then two, do not get into straight line thinking. And I slowed down there with emphasis very intentionally to say it. I know I've said it countless times here on Dollars and Cents through the years. I'm going to say it again because I'm starting to see it in the markets again. I'm starting to see it with cryptocurrency. I'm starting to see it with AI stocks, that just because something has had an extended run, folks in the market think it's just going to keep going forever. Folks, that doesn't work that way. I'm not saying it's going to pull back today. I'm not saying it's going to crash out in the near future. What I am saying is all of this moves in cycles. You don't have to believe me. Take a look at the last 50 years in the markets. There have been ups and downs and a whole lot of time in between. So make sure you're making your decisions for the right reasons. That's it. When it comes to your portfolio, decide for the right reasons. Well, friends, I appreciate always you hanging with us here on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial. Thursdays at 4 is our time together, so I hope you'll tune in with us next week. We're going to be talking all things markets again, probably going to bring in some football and food. That's what we do because we like that as well. Come back with us again next week on WSIC.
Serving you better than